What is up, guys? We of course are back with another video, and today we're checking out another mouse, and this one happens to be the Razer DeathAdder V3 Pro. So let's go ahead and take a look. So before we get into all the details on this specific mouse, the Razer DeathAdder has been out for a very long time. It was actually one of Razer's first ever products. So the original DeathAdder came out all the way back in 2006. And I hope some of you watching this were gaming back then. I know I was. And it's a very iconic mouse. I think that most of us have used one iteration or another of the DeathAdder, and it's been updated over the years, and it's great that we have a brand new version with, of course, brand new hardware. As far as accessories and everything that comes with the mouse itself, we do have our USB cable here, and this is a very nice braided USB cable. It is all white. It's type A to type C. This allows you to charge the mouse as well as use the mouse in wired mode. And then we have our dongle and our dongle adapter, and I really love Razer's attention to detail here because it is all white. Even the dongle's all white. So if you have an all white setup, you're not gonna have just, a random black adapter here. Everything is all white. And then we do have our grips. So we have two side grips and then the two grips for the two buttons up top here. I like that they're optional. Some mice come with the grips already pre-installed. Here, they're optional. So if you want to use them, you can. If you don't have to use them. As we start to take a look at the mouse, one of the main things you'll notice when you pick it up is just how light it is. So Razer was actually able to drop the weight of this down 25% over the previous generation. So on the white version, we're down to 64 grams. The black version will be 63 grams. When it comes to the design of the mouse, this mouse is, of course, designed to be an ergonomic mouse. Razer has made some changes to the shape compared to the previous generation. These changes have been made in conjunction with feedback from esports pros who use palm or claw style grips and mainly FPS gamers. The buttons on the front of the mouse don't flare out as much as they've been changed from a unibody design to a split key design. You're also not going to get built-in grips on the side of the mouse, but as I mentioned, these grips do come in the box. So as you can see here, we do have the white version of the mouse, and there's not much of a difference between the white version and the black version. Here we do have the black Razer logo. On the black version, it's just a reflective black. That is basically the only difference. And one thing that you will notice is that, this doesn't light up or anything. There's absolutely no RGB lighting on this mouse, which I'm actually okay with because it's a mouse, our hand's covering the RGB lighting anyways. And of course, that helps Razer cut down the weight of this mouse as well. On the top of the mouse, we have our two main buttons, a scroll wheel, which is wrapped in rubber, and a small indication LED, which will let you know which profile or DPI level you're on. The two main buttons are powered by Razer's Gen 3 optical mouse switches. These switches have improved tactility over the previous generation and have a 90 million click life cycle. As we look at the mouse from the front, we can see how your hand and fingers will sit sloped down to the right. Also on the front of the mouse is a USB-C connection that you can use to charge the mouse as well as use it in wired mode. On the left side of the mouse, we have our two main buttons, and on the right side, we don't have any buttons at all. That's pretty standard when it comes to FPS mice. And for those wondering about, how strong is this mouse? Like, how's the chassis feel? One, it has this sort of rougher coating on it, which I really like. It just feels really good in the hand. And then secondly, we did our standard press on the sides as hard as I can, which I'm doing right now. And there is some slight flex, but it doesn't feel like the frame's gonna break. And I've actually broken mice this way, and it seems very, very strong. Even though this is plastic, like I said, it feels very, very strong. It doesn't feel like it's a mouse that is going to fail if I press on it too hard. Flipping the mouse over, we have three PTFE feet, our sensor, and a combination power and DPI button. The combo button actually helps Razer cut down on weight, which I think is a good thing. As far as the sensor goes, we have Razer's new Focus Pro 30K optical sensor, which was developed in partnership with PixArt. This sensor has a DPI of 30,000, max speed of 750 IPS, max acceleration of 70 Gs, and a resolution accuracy of 99.8%. This sensor is actually going to be able to track on glass as well, as long as that glass is at least 2 millimeters thick. If you want to know how this mouse sounds on your desk, how the clicks sound, I went ahead and made a sound test for you guys. So for those who are wondering what's the difference between this mouse and the Viper V2 Pro from Razer, they both have the same sensor, they both have the same switches. It all really comes down to design and weight. So the DeathAdder V3 Pro is more of an ergonomic mouse. It's definitely more of a right-handed mouse, where this mouse, the Viper V2 Pro, is definitely a ambidextrous mouse. You can use it in both hands, even though the side buttons are only on one side. It's also more of a low profile mouse, so it sits a lot lower, and it is lighter. So this is 58 grams versus the 64 grams of this mouse. It kind of just all depends on your play style, or which one really feels better to you in your hand. They're both good for claw grip as well as palm grip, and obviously both are really good for FPS gamers. When it comes to software, Razer has their Synapse software. Now, you don't have to download this software if you want to use this mouse just out of the box. So you just plug in the dongle, connect it, and you're good to go. But if you want to make any changes or anything like that, you will have to download Razer's Synapse software. Now, when you open the software up, you'll see all of your Razer devices, and we see our DeathAdder V3 Pro shows our power level right here, and we can just click in. And the first thing we come to is the Customize tab. In here, we can remap all of the buttons on the mouse itself. So if we click into scroll click, we have a bunch of different functions. So keyboard function, mouse function, sensitivity, macro, inner device, a bunch of different things beyond just remapping it to like a keyboard function or something like that. We have a full-on macro editor as well. And all of the macros that you save within Synapse can be used across all of your different Razer devices. So if you have a macro that you use on your mouse, you can actually save it to your keyboard as well. Or if you buy a new Razer mouse down the line, all of your macros will be saved, so you don't have to worry about losing them, especially if you set up a really long macro or something like that. It's all saved within the software, which is really nice. Also, we do have hyperspeed multi-device pairing, so you can actually pair all the hyperspeed connected wireless devices from Razer to the included dongle with this. So if you only want to use one dongle, you can use multiple devices with that dongle. It will save you a USB port in your motherboard or on your laptop, which, especially if you're using a laptop, might come in handy. Our next tab is performance, and here we have all of our different sensitivity stages. You can set the number of stages, so you can go as low as 2 and as high as 5. These are all saved on the mouse. So when you get the mouse, I haven't changed any of these, so they're all set to this by default. So 400, 800, 1600, 3200, and 6400. You can change these, and you'll see the colors over each one. So that actually will correspond with the indication LED on the mouse, so you know which what level you are on or which stage you are on. Over here we have our pooling rate. Just leave that at 1000. You can drop it down to 500 or 125. And there is a shortcut here to open our Windows mouse properties. Under calibration, we have smart tracking. So this is our tracking distance. By default, you can set it to low, medium, or high. But if you enable asymmetric cutoff, this sets a liftoff distance and a landing distance, and you can set these from low to high. I believe they go from 0 to 20 or to 26. So you can set those kind of where, you know, you can mess with this and set different smart tracking. That's what this new sensor supports, is you can set your landing distance, you can set your liftoff distance, which is actually pretty cool. And of course, very easy to do here in the software. If you don't want to mess with that, you can turn asymmetric cutoff off, and you won't have that landing distance setting. But if you want to really calibrate things, you can go ahead and do that in here. And then under power, we have wireless power saving. So this is going to enter sleep mode, you know, after a certain amount of time. By default, it's set to 5 minutes. This helps, you know, save your battery life. I've had so many wireless mice where, you know, I forget to turn it off in the middle, you know, after I'm done gaming or something like that. And then I wake up the next day and my mouse is dead. This turns the wireless power saving on after a certain amount of time. So that's definitely nice to have. And then there is a low power mode. So when you reach, you know, a certain percent, it will turn off certain mouse features to conserve power. So you can set when, you know, what percentage of battery that enables that low power mode. This definitely comes in handy. Again, you forget to charge, you've had a long gaming session, and you want a little bit more, you don't want your mouse to die. You don't want to have to plug it in. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can, the mouse will enter low power mode, and you just set how low the power is going to be until it enters that mode. And that's pretty much it for the software. It's super easy to use. It gives you everything that you want as far as, you know, reprogramming all of your keys and setting your different, you know, DPI levels and all of that, your pulling rate. I don't see anything else that I would want in the software. Again, super easy to use. And that is basically it for the software. So as we wrap this whole review up, I have to say that I really like it that Razer has continued the DeathAdder line. The DeathAdder, like I said, it's an iconic mouse. So many of us used, you know, whatever generation of the mouse that we had used previously. We've used it over the years, and it's, like I said, it brings back a lot of fun gaming memories. So it's cool to see that Razer has kept this product line going. We see so many companies come out with this iconic product and then they never update it, or it just kind of goes away. It's nice to see that I can buy a Razer DeathAdder product here in 2022, which is really, really cool. And of course, the big upgrade with this mouse beyond internally is that they cut down the weight. So 25% reduction in weight over the previous generation, which came out in 2020. So we're at 64 grams here for the white version, 63 grams for the black version. And they weren't, you know, they didn't take anything out. We didn't lose anything when they brought the weight down, actually. So we still have, or we have the newer 30K sensor. We have the Gen 3 switches, which feel awesome. And that's another thing I really love about this mouse, is just how it feels in my hand. I'm definitely a palm grip type of person. And this mouse just feels so good in my hand. The mouse clicks feel good. The scroll wheel feels really, really good. Everything feels really good. All the buttons are very easy to, you know, reach. I don't feel like I'm reaching for any of the buttons. It just feels good for my type of play style. I am mainly an FPS gamer, so this is basically the perfect mouse for me. And I really like, you know, Razer's attention to detail, especially on the white version here. So of course the mouse is white, but the dongle and dongle adapter is white. The mouse cabling is all white. Even all the connectors are all white. So if you're somebody who's like really obsessive about their setup, everything's going to be white and everything is going to match there. And I have to say that I have been using Razer's DeathAdder V2 Pro, or not the DeathAdder, the Viper V2 Pro that I previously reviewed. The review is on the channel if you guys want to check it out. I've been using that as my main mouse. It was perfect for me. I really liked how lightweight it was, but I honestly think that this is going to be the new mouse going forward just because of how it feels in my hand. It is slightly heavier. Again, the Viper V2 Pro is 58 grams. This is 64 grams, but it just feels better in my hand. Again, this is an ergonomic mouse, so it's gonna feel a little bit better in your hand. And I just like how it feels. I like how the clicks feel, you know. So this is probably gonna be the mouse going forward. Now, for those wondering about price, we do get what I like to call the Razer tax on this. This is gonna be $149. It's an expensive mouse for what it is, I would say. But it is gonna be a mouse that's gonna last you out. It's gonna feel really good. Software is good. Everything is very, very good on this mouse, but it is expensive, so definitely keep that in mind. I will have a link below where you can go ahead and pick this mouse up. Also, links below for our full written review and everything else like that. So if you have any questions about this mouse, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. We'll see you guys in the next video.